Hey, good morning, church family. This is Youth Talk for January 2nd. Hope you had a great New Year's Eve and day. Wanted to revisit the scripture that I talked about on at the New Year's Day devotion. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 13. And I think this helps us remember that although we have things happen in our life, sometimes we don't know why it happens until later in life. So the scripture goes like this: there's a season for everything, and a time for every matter under heavens, a time for giving birth, a time for dying, a time for planting, and a time for uprooting what is planted, a time for killing, and a time for healing, a time for tearing down, and a time for building up, a time for crying, and a time for laughing, a time for mourning, and a time for dancing, a time for throwing stones and a time for gathering stones, a time for embracing and a time for avoiding embraces, a time for searching and a time for losing, a time for keeping and a time for throwing away, a time for tearing and a time for repairing, a time for keeping silent and a time for speaking, a time for loving and a time for hating, a time for war and a time for peace. What do the workers gain from all their hard work? I observed the task that God has given human beings. God has made everything fitting in its time, but has also placed eternity in their hearts, without enabling them to discover what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there's nothing better for them but to enjoy themselves and do what's good while they live. Moreover, this is the gift of God, that all people should eat, drink, and enjoy the results of their hard labor. So I know that it's the start of a new year, and sometimes we bring baggage into that new year, um, and then sometimes when that baggage is hard and heavy, we wonder why God let us carry it. See, sometimes we don't know that reason for a long time. We might find out a year from now. We might find out a day from now. I can tell you that when I lost my mom and my dad, I wondered why. But being that I'm doing pastoring now, it's actually helped me relate to others who have faced loss. Didn't think about that for a long time until I started this and I had to deal with my first funeral. So the point is, no matter what's going on in your life, God has a plan. God is walking alongside of you. But here is the catch-22. We have to acknowledge the fact that he is walking with us. Because if we go into the journey on our own, blind and not having him help us along the way, our path will be so much more unclear. So we need to have him help us stay on that path. And there will be times when we say, I don't get what you're doing, God. I don't understand. I um, don't want this. I don't want to go through this. But I am. And somehow along the way, sometimes never, he'll expose why he had you go through what he did. And I don't want to be unclear about this. He does not cause the rough roads, because if you look at anything that's went on in our history, personal or world history, it's always mankind that is causing the issue. We do something stupid to cause the issue. So I'm not saying that God caused it. I'm saying that he has a plan to make that work in his benefit and for his glory. So keep that in mind in this new year. Let things go from 2021. Try not to ask why they happen. Just look for an opportunity for God to tell you what his plan was. So I hope you have a great Sunday. I hope you stay safe with the snow. And would love to see all of you at 11:15. But if not, I encourage you, just because of the fact that I encourage you to walk with God no matter what church that will be with. So whether it's here at 11:15 or if it's a church that you were with, that you feel more comfortable with, that you have more activities with. But the bottom line is to be able to keep active and keep walking with God. So when those hard times hit, you don't ask why. You say, show me how this is going to make me stronger, God. Show me how this will help my faith. I hope you have a good, safe day until we talk again. God bless.